Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you're watching or listening. My name is Caleb Glick. I'm a lawyer here in the great state of Texas with the Calhoun School of Law to bring you a lot of information plenty of bad folks would rather you not have. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll provide another installation into our Discourses Concerning Government series, Discourses Concerning Government, written by Mr. Algernon Sidney. We're going on to Chapter 1, Section 4. So if you haven't gone back and watched Chapter 1, Section 1 through 3, I highly encourage you to do so, because understanding this work, in addition to Mr. Sidney's other works, is going to be greatly to your benefit. Why? Because virtually every founder in the founding generation alluded to Mr. Sidney's work whenever they were going about drafting not just the governments in the U.S. Constitution and the Articles of the Confederation, but other documents like the U.S. Declaration of Independence. He is such a pivotal, such an important figure and influence on the minds of the founders that reading through his works, you're going to see almost verbatim principles pulled from his novels and imputed into our founding documents, into the Union founding documents, and to the documents that we hold as our government to this day. So let's go ahead and jump on over to the Discourses Concerning Government. Like I said, we're going on to Section 4. Now, this section is so short that we're actually just going to read through the entire portion. We're going to read through the whole section. This section is titled, "The rights of particular nations cannot subsist if general principles contrary to them are received as true." So, of course, he's going to go on further to critique Mr. Filmer's work, Patriarcha, I think was the title of it, if I remember correctly. And he's going to discuss how, excuse me, how Mr. Filmer is applying very esoteric, in quotes, principles to a government that he has disregard for, to a proposed government that he disdains, that he has contempt for. And what Mr. Sidney is going to argue in this section is that if you don't apply general principles, universal truths, what is known as the natural law as ordained by God, the nations are going to squalor. Any nation that applies these esoteric ideas, these theories, are going to fall because they don't obey natural law. So let's see what Mr. Sidney says specifically. He says, "Notwithstanding this, our author," referring to Filmer, "if we will believe him, quote, doth not question or quarrel at the rights or liberties of this or any other nation. He only denies they can have any such in subjecting them necessarily and universally to the will of one man." So Filmer is arguing directly that in order to have these supposed natural rights, the citizens have to subject themselves to the will of one man, to the will of a king. Filmer was advocating for a monarchy, hence the title Patriarcha, and says not a word that is not applicable to every nation in the world as well as to our own. But as the bitterness of his malice seems to be most especially directed against England, I am inclined to believe he hurts other countries only by accident, as the famous French lady intended only to poison her father, husband, brother, and some more of her nearest relations, but rather than they should escape, destroyed many other persons of quality, who at several times dined with them. And if that ought to excuse her, I am content he also should pass uncensured, though his crimes are incomparably greater than those for which she was condemned, or than any can be which are not of a public extent. So notice the section is short, but very pungent, very pregnant with a condemnation of applying theory, unsubstantiated theory, prioritizing that theory, rather than subjecting ourselves to the natural laws of reality, not of just human nature, but of government, of truth, and of existence. What Mr. Sidney is saying here is that by applying Mr. Filmer's ideas, his unsubstantiated, uncorroborated, unsupported ideas, you will naturally, organically harm other nations, because either what you practice in your nation, these ideas, these unfounded ideas, will then leak into tyrannizing other nations, or other nations will practice these ideas and theories and then in themselves be self-deleterious. What Sidney is specifically condemning here is Filmer's willful disobedience to natural law as prescribed by God. For whatever motive, doesn't really matter. because in totality, nations will be destroyed because of Filmer's reckless advocacy, reckless disposition. So what Mr. Sidney is saying very concisely in this direct section is apply natural law and you don't have to worry about any of this. Obey natural law. You don't have to worry about your nation being self-deleterious. Discard Mr. Filmer's theories and stick to what works. Don't fix what isn't broken. Excellent. So if you have any questions about what was said in section 4, please go ahead and post them down in the comments. If you have any questions about what was said in the preceding sections, or if there's a topic you'd like me to cover in a future lecture, also post those down in the comments, because the entire purpose of the Calhoun School of Law is to provide you with the necessary skills and information to combat any sort of lawfare that will be waged against you, your loved ones, or your hard-earned property. So please, if you have any questions, go ahead and post them down in the comments. Excellent. So my name is Caleb Glick. I'm a lawyer here in the great state of Texas with the Calhoun School of Law to bring you a lot of information that plenty of bad folks would rather you not have. I hope you enjoyed this very short lecture. And if not, while you're down in the comments, go ahead and let me know how I can do better so I can best serve that purpose of helping you. I hope you'll have a wonderful day, and I'm not sure what the topic for the next lecture is going to be, but I'll do my best to make it as informative and entertaining as this one, if not more so. Regardless of the topic of the next lecture, until I see y'all then, I bid you all farewell.